I need some traction.
So you guys ever notice for some reason, some of these products, they just acquire customers like wildfire. I'm pretty sure we all know that it's not an accident though. But what exactly is the secret to contagious products? As John Coetzee, a mobile economist and writer for VentureBeat and Forbes, will be interviewing Elliot Shmuckler, VP Product of Instacart, here to discuss the art of contagious. Not talking flu season, I'm talking how to build products that get users hooked. Elliot has built contagious products for companies like Wealthfront, LinkedIn, and eBay. So let's bring out John and Elliot.
Thank you. Thanks, Brittany. I told you it was okay if you massacred my name, and you did, but it's still okay. Go ahead, take a seat. Hello, everybody. Hope you're enjoying the conference. I spent about half of the day so far in the conference listening, and there was some great stuff here, so I'm hoping we'll live up to that.
Me too.
Awesome.
Me too.
There is, however, a place where there's perhaps more fun going on, and it's right back there. So we did just tweet something out from back there. If you follow the hashtag TractionConf, you might just see it. Anyways, check it out. Cool. So you've run growth at LinkedIn, at eBay. You're currently with Instacart, where you actually run product and growth. Talk to me about that a little bit. How's that work? Why? How's that fit together?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think one truth in the modern age of products is that some of the most successful products, many of whom have spoken earlier today, are products that essentially grow themselves, right? The product itself is optimized for growth. I don't think we're any longer in a world where you build the product over here and you kind of build a marketing team over here and they're independent and that's how it works. I think the truth is now you have to shape products in a way that maximizes their growth potential. So integrating those two functions makes a lot of sense. Cool. Because that's what you need to do.
Cool. So I jumped right in here, and Elliot is currently with Instacart. Who here knows what Instacart is? So maybe, I see Elliot put his hand up. I'm glad you know.
I try to know, yeah.
But that was probably only about 20%. Instacart isn't in this market here. So can you give a quick overview of who Instacart is, what you do, and maybe why you're not like Sprig?
I get that question a lot. Instacart is not going to fail. That's my promise to you guys. Instacart is a grocery delivery service. So we'll shop at your local stores for the groceries you love, and we'll deliver them to you in as little as an hour. So it's really a great way to add some time to your life. If you don't want to go to the store and shop for groceries, order on Instacart, and we'll bring them to you.
So it's even faster than Amazon's new shopping experience where you walk in and grab stuff and run out the door screaming and nobody chases you.
Well, it's less work because you don't have to drive to Amazon's location. You can stay in your home. And we're pretty much the fastest out there, if not among the fastest in terms of grocery delivery.
Cool. Are you all across the states or just select markets right now?
We're in about a third of the U.S. And by 2018, we're going to cover about 80% of the U.S.
Nice.
And we do hear there's some big cities in Canada, so
there's a few. Awesome.
There's 8.
I think that's a hint. I don't know if that was authorized by the PR department, but
not authorized. Yeah.
Founders take note. Okay, so we talked about how you run product and you're doing growth, and that's kind of cool. What's a typical day look like for you? What are you focused on?
Absolutely. So a lot of meetings, as you may imagine, but I start off every day looking at the numbers, right? Checking out how we did the day before, what the trends are in the key metrics that we look at, diving in if something's interesting or unusual, or these days asking my team to dive in if something's interesting or unusual. Then I spend the lion's share of the day meeting with my team and just providing feedback and reviewing things. So looking at experimental results, talking about next steps, looking at upcoming experiments or products that we're going to ship, and providing feedback on those, looking at longer-term roadmaps. And then a big part of my role is actually communication with other teams.
Cool.
Telling them what the product team is working on. One fun fact of being at a company where the consumer product is important is actually everyone thinks they're a product manager.
Yes.
Across
Been
the
there.
organization. And so you have to give them some confidence that the product team is working on the right things and is making progress, and we're listening to their ideas and incorporating them.
Awesome. You mentioned looking at the key metrics. Can you share some of those key metrics with us? What's most important to you?
Yeah, so we're an e-commerce site, so we're always looking at some sort of dollar value of things we've sold in the last whatever period,
Yep.
and we're looking at the growth of that. And then, of course, we're decomposing that growth into, well, how much of that was because of new customers, how
Right.
much of that was because of engagement of existing customers, those kinds of feeders into that big metric.
Yeah, yeah. And interesting. So let's talk about building a marketing team, timing of injecting marketing into a business. We talked about that a little bit previously.
Yeah.
You don't want to necessarily start marketing right away, but in some sense. Can you explain a little bit deeper?
Yeah, absolutely. And I noticed some of the other speakers covering this territory, but when you're just starting out, when you have a brand new product, you really should be focused on product market fit. Do I have a product where when users discover my product, they keep using it at some regular rate? And that's when you can start thinking about actually growing the set of users that discover your product. Right? Before that point, if you're not sure that when users discover your product, they're going to keep using it, you might be too early to start worrying about growth, because you'll send a lot of new customers to your product and they won't use it. And if you're using marketing budgets or things like that to do that, you're going to burn through a lot of money.
What's the cutoff there? I mean, because you're always going to have some fall off. Your retention rate's going to be somewhere, but your people are falling out of the funnel at some point. So what's the cutoff there? Is there some guidance that you have there? Is it different for everybody?
I think it's different category by category. I would say, first of all, your retention curves need to flatten out. They can't be decaying forever.
Yes.
That's first and foremost. And second, you probably want retention somewhere in the 20% to 40% range. That's going to be normal, right, for most kind of consumer products, somewhere between the 20 to 40% range. If you're much higher than 40%, great. You should, hit the gas right now. If you're at the 20% rate, you can hit the gas. Maybe you want to tweak the product some more. But if you're squarely in that range, I think you're good.
That's a really interesting number, because I do a lot in terms of mobile. I have a lot of mobile clients. I write about mobile a lot.
Yeah.
And we talk about mobile engagement and retention for apps like D3, D7, D14, right? What's my retention rate? It's horrific across the board for mobile apps because, of course, it's easy to jump in and jump out.
Yeah.
But for the best apps, they are in around that 20 to 40% range.
Yeah, and my number's monthly, by the way, just to, your weekly number is going to be lower and those kinds of things. But yeah, it's actually amazing to me. When I was at LinkedIn, we looked at our retention rate, which was in the 30s at the time. I'm sure Atif, if you saw him, has lifted it. And we weren't sure whether that was normal or not. So we actually did a study of multiple apps and talked to a bunch of people. And it's amazing how many of the apps that you use or the services that you use fall exactly within that range.
Yeah. Wow. I've got to think LinkedIn is higher than that now. I mean, once you're on the site, you're kind of there, whether you come regularly or not. But
you're an engaged user.
Yes,
right? So
exactly.
Easy to be biased.
Let's talk a little bit about virality and marketing and product. I mean, typically when we talk about virality, we're talking about cat videos or the latest Facebook Live video that went crazy with Chewbacca mom or something like that. You mean something a little different. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the best products get their existing users to do the marketing for the product. And so the old-fashioned way, which all of your products should actually be doing if they're a good product, is word of mouth.
Yeah.
Right? But you can also accelerate that process by building tools for word of mouth, right? By building ways for your existing customers to refer other customers. And if you can work it into creating more value for them in the product, that's awesome. That's when you get LinkedIn and Facebook and social networks, when everyone I invite actually contributes to my use of the product. if you can't get, that invitation to create more value for you, the sender, then you have to create some incentive. So actually at both Wealthfront, where I ran growth, and now at Instacart, we give you a small discount if you invite your friends to use the product. And that works out for us because that's the cheapest way for us to acquire customers out of any other thing we might have. And it works out for the folks that are doing the referrals because who doesn't like getting a discount for something that's pretty easy?
Absolutely. I mean, I was going to follow up and ask a question about that. You kind of answered it right there, but I know like lead gen, B2B lead gen, you can easily spend $40, you can easily spend $400 for quality leads. It's kind of insane to hear those numbers, but when I see those, I mean, companies are really spending that. I don't know what your lead gen cost is. I'm not asking you to say it out here, but obviously when you see that, even in a B2C environment, if you can get your customers to do that, I mean, you're golden. Even when there isn't a network effect, that makes it better for me when my colleagues are on LinkedIn.
That's right. That's right. And you can spin this in a bunch of different ways. At Wealthfront and Instacart, we give monetary rewards. But if you look at a product like Dropbox, they give you more space as you invite people. So there's other creative incentives that you can come up with.
Cool. So one of the things we talked about is you can get great buzz, and I'm sure a lot of founders here have had a similar example. They've gotten great buzz. They got picked up by TechCrunch or one of the tech blogs, and everybody was talking about them for 2 or 3 days. But they went on Product Hunt.
Right.
1,000 people, 3,000 people upvoted it and everything. Very few actually got it. How do you translate buzz into actual business activity?
Yeah. So there's 2 ways. And one of them is really hard, and the second one is slightly less hard. So the hard way is get buzz all the time.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So generate enough activity and enough new things happening where you have this constant stream of buzz happening. And so you're constantly
like Uber,
getting,
but in reverse.
Right. Positive Uber. Yeah, positive Uber. So always have a new product announcement or a market expansion or, a story about how great your company is or some new feature that everyone wants to talk about. Always have something like that so that every week you're getting the benefit of that buzz. Actually very hard to do. The slightly easier one is, treat that buzz for what it is it's not going to be ongoing. The value of it is to kickstart your normal growth engine.
Yes.
Right? So we at Instacart, for example, we have to launch each geographic market separately because we have to hire people in that market and all those kinds of things. So the initial buzz of launching in, Savannah, Georgia, which we did yesterday, is actually really helpful because it gets us those initial customers that then tell all their friends and refer their friends and all that kind of stuff. So it jumpstarts our normal growth engine in these markets. And so that's how we use the buzz.
Yes.
Right? We don't use it as a way to say, well, we're going to just keep generating buzz and that's going to help us grow because that's actually hard.
It is really hard. Growth hacking tip, everybody here who gets some buzz a little bit. I swear this has happened. I used to write at VentureBeat, now I write at Tune. I work for Tune a little bit, and I do writing at Inc. and Forbes. I swear that when I've done a post about a company, and it happened to be I was happy with them, or I thought they were very good, or thought the product was amazing, I swear that for months afterwards, that company is paying for traffic to go to that page because there's a conversion flow from that page to their website because there's no reason for this old article to be all this continuous stream of page views, but they're paying for that traffic.
Absolutely. This is actually a great strategy, and I'm sure lots of you have seen it, but we use this at Wealthfront, which is if you find a piece of content that you earn through PR or through whatever that actually converts, you can pay to send traffic to it through standard kind of content marketing networks.
Most people won't think of that because they think to pay to send traffic to their own site, but if somebody says something nice about you, that's a better thing than you saying something nice about yourself. And
sometimes the article describes your service better than your own site does. And sometimes the extra authority of that article being in a high brand publication is just what's needed to get people to try your product. So definitely a good strategy to keep in mind.
Very cool. We talked about fatal errors that you see some startups making. Briefly, can you go over some of the fatal errors that you see some startups making today?
Absolutely. So first one we already covered a little bit, which is just focusing on growth too early. You know, get your product to be a great product, a product that's adding value. Then, you know, hit the gas on the growth. The second one is, you know, kind of probably will be a weird one to a bunch of folks, but it's finding a winner, right? Finding some sort of new channel or some sort of new growth technique, claiming the win, and then stopping work on it, right? And saying, okay, what's the next winner?
Yes.
Very often the best winner is actually what's won for you before,
Yep.
and you should keep working on it. You know, I was telling John this story earlier, but you know, when I was at LinkedIn running growth, I think I spent 4 years, 5 years working on our address book importer, right, which is a key to viral growth. And then Atif, who some of you saw earlier, probably has spent another 4 years working on it till present day. It's because even though it worked, we could continue to double down into it.
Yes.
And get more and more return for our investment.
Cool.
It would have been incredibly tempting, and in fact, a lot of folks wanted to drop it and kind of move on to something else, right, to some other new idea.
I'd be tempted to move on to something else. I'd be getting bored with the thing.
Yeah.
We've done that. Check. It's an address
Yeah.
book importer. What else can you do? Done. Move on.
You got to be excited about moving the numbers, John. That's the passion you got to have. The third one is just not being aggressive enough. You know, a lot of folks are not as aggressive in growing their service as they could be. They're worried about what customers will think and all those kinds of things. But I assure you, you can be a lot more aggressive than what you're doing, and it will be fine. You can always pull back if you get into a bad situation.
So the example you gave, I think, was for LinkedIn. What was it again? You were asking for people to connect with their colleagues in multiple places. Was that the example?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the address book importer vein, I mean, we found every possible place to ask you to do that.
Yes.
Right? And we, you know, bang you over the head to do it. And eventually, not all of those worked, and we pulled a bunch of them back. But we probably ended up at a place that was much more aggressive in terms of asking you to take that step than we would have if we had kind of constrained ourselves
Yes.
at the beginning.
Cool. And then we talked about some key learnings that you've learned over the course of your career that could be helpful for some people who are doing growth marketing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, I kind of boil growth down to 3 basic strategies. And I don't think I'm giving away any secrets here, but it's sometimes useful to think of it in this type of framework. I think you only achieve growth in 3 ways. One, on this one, by the way, never fails. As many times as I've tried it, make it easier for users to do whatever you need them to do. Sign up for your service, to try your service, to take whatever key actions you have. Make those easier, right? If you think they're easy now, I assure you, you can make them a lot easier than they are. Number 2, better communicate the value of your service, right? Better communicate the value of the actions that you want your users to take. Maybe increase that value through improving the product. That is sometimes one of the biggest challenges. We had a hard time communicating the value of LinkedIn or importing your address book, right, or using Wealthfront. We still struggle with communicating the exact value of Instacart versus, you know, going to the grocery store or doing those other things. So keep working on communicating and improving that value. And number 3, just be more aggressive. Ask your users to do stuff that you need them to do to help you grow, and ask them more often and more aggressively than what you're doing. That should lead to growth.
Very cool. Awesome. We have just a little less than 2 minutes left. You can only do one strategy. ASO. Everyone know what ASO is? App Store Optimization. Or SEO. Everyone know what SEO is? I presume.
More hands.
Search Engine Optimization. You can only pick one. Which one do you pick?
Yeah, I pick SEO. I'll tell you why. You have just a lot more room to optimize in SEO than you do in ASO. ASO is much more control and tighter.
Right.
So a lot more room for creativity. 2 is you can actually improve ASO through SEO.
True.
Right, so all of that traffic you get through SEO, you can convert into downloads in the App Store if it's mobile traffic, and improve your popularity and improve your App Store position.
Yes.
And 3, look, I mean, Google search on mobile is not going away, or whatever your search engine of choice is. It's not going away. People are still doing it, right? And they'll always be doing it. And so I think investing in SEO is super important. The app stores might change and may evolve and all those kinds of things, but people will always be searching for stuff.
It's really interesting as well when you look at conversational user interfaces, and there's not a page of results.
Yeah.
There's not a
Yeah.
screen full that you can slide through and get other results. There's one answer,
Yeah.
or this is what I found in Google for you.
That's
You
right.
know?
That's
so
right.
you kind of want to be that one answer, and right now, kind of SEO is pretty much determining a lot of that answer from Google, at least, Google Assistant. And often I find from whether it's Amazon or Apple's assistants as well.
Absolutely, and I think that's going to be true for a long time to come.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Elliot.
Absolutely.
This is a real
Thank you,
pleasure.
John.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Good job.
I need some traction. You need some traction. Let's get some traction.